in association with Leeds Spirits. It's a phone-in full of Derby winners tonight. People who went to the Derby, who watched their team win the Derby, who weren't still fucking greeting about the Derby 4 or 5 days fucking later, pulling out stats and all the rest of it. Just happy, happy people. Mikey, you made your debut last week. It was obviously a lucky charm because we won on Sunday, so I'm going to kick off with you tonight. Not as in start a fight, just that's where we'll start the conversation. We'll start in the derby. Talk to me about it.
Oh, unbelievable. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. I watched it at a mate's house, but still stood for the full 90. Ken, didn't sit down nerves, fill it. Well, the first goal kind of settled the nerves. I kind of thought, hold on, we might be onto something here. We might be Ken going to get a wee 2, 3, 4 nil here. And then obviously, kind of a bit clammy at the back. I didn't really want to blame an individual because I felt there was a lot of mistakes for a few players there. And then even after the mistakes, Ken, no one really picked up after it. Phil Grant kind of had a lot of space there in the box. And then they set up well to kind of stop us playing. Um, all the chat about big team, there was only one team that changed shape though for the game. They changed to suit us. We played how we've played for what the last 16 games or something. And I felt all right, even though they kind of had the ball a lot. I thought, Ken, if they never scored that goal, this probably would have ended 1-0. And we'll probably get the draw. The draw's all right. Take the draw. And then, unbelievable, for Iredale. Shankland, captain. Can he put a foul in because he's got a daft book in? Ken leaves him. What a captain that is. Then, end of the game, our captain's getting other players in. Centre circle, Ken. Only one big team in the side, yeah. I thought it was. Can I get the double wins? I didn't realise it was that long as well for the double wins. I think there's a cup one in there. I don't know. It's like not as far away, but I want them to get top six now, eh?
Do you to get the
Aye.
next derby? See if we go for the hat
Even
trick.
get a draw. Even get a draw. Let's just draw. Get 20 draws from now on. And then we can just say, Ken, what's that, 22 games unbeaten? Ken, pretend some of them are wins. Don't know what they do. Ken.
That's exactly what they do.
But
Yeah.
aye, unbelievable, eh?
It's one of their traits. Like I can't remember who it was that shared the tweet, but somebody going back to like a really specific date. It wasn't like it going back in the last 10 years or 5 years. It was like just enough to include it so that they had an extra couple of wins in.
I was it 14?
Aye, something
14,
like that. You're
aye.
like, fuck, how could
It's
you be
unreal.
bothered?
I seen something about like how when Ken a lot of times in like I don't know the 40s and that 50s when we were dominant, it was when you only played twice a season.
Aye,
Ken and now and whenever it was the 80s, I Ken I wasn't living through these times. For me, I feel like it's been pretty close. Obviously, there was a Ken the cup final and that, but in my lifetime, I feel like derbies have been pretty even. Most of them are 1-alls. That's my bet every derby. I mean,
aye. It's funny. That's what my son says as well. Because like I grew up through the Miller era, the derbies, which was an absolutely horrendous time to support Hibs. And so you end up kind of a bit scarred by them. But I didn't. I'm not bothered about the derby anymore. I look forward to it. I used to dread it. Now I look forward to it. And my son's never dreaded it. He's like, can whoever can beat them. It's just Hearts, um,
the,
which is good.
the thing I dread is I always feel like they get the rub of the green. And I felt Sunday, was it Sunday?
Yeah,
I felt we got the rub of the green, Ken. Like this scoring a screamer. How many times have they scored a screamer to get a draw or get a 2-1 win? Ken, this time it was us that get the screamer. And then I thought the penalty too. I think it's soft, but I do think that's because of all the chat, Ken, on in the media and that. And I hope that same Ken, that's it, that's written it. That's us even now. Get a wee penalty,
hmm.
Ken, against Celtic.
What did you make of the second half performance then?
Oh, I don't know what changed, but we just seemed like what a different team. It was no subs, but I think Nicky Callan just got the ball at the time. I think Trantis and Mara Welsh kind of maybe had a bit of a poor half, and second half they were just out can't get the ball out to both the Caddens. The switch was on quite a lot, and good balls in. I was a bit gutted. A few of them we didn't get any kind of thing off them, and then when they brought the subs on, I was a bit worried that that's it. Ken, the shape will change. They're going to see it out, and then nothing really happened. I think they got a couple corners, and then we end up going up the pitch and putting the pressure back on, and then Ken steps up at Airedale.
And what a goal it was as well, eh?
Aye. On the telly, I think these cameras are in the West End, and it was right behind it, and it was one of them. It's in. You see it right as soon as it leaves his boot. You're like, I'm up screaming. My missus is like, "What's happening?" It's not even in the net yet.
Shankland had the best view it, which is
Aye.
which is good.
That's
Watched it
on
all the
it.
way.
They're saying an open goal, like, oh, drink, they should give him a contract, drink. Ken, he should. Oh, I'll take him at Rangers still on that. I'm like, he's terrible. He's why they lost. Even in the first half, he kind of had a good game, kind of stopping Triantis, and then I think Benigbu would come up behind him and kind of double team on Triantis. And then in the second half, Triantis just found all the space, and Ken Shankland, I think he can only do 40 minutes with the size of him now. Especially with that forehead, too.
I like to plant the seed that it was their captain and their manager that were responsible for it. Just so a wee bit of unrest amongst them. Like the manager watched us absolutely tear them apart in the flanks and did absolutely nothing about it.
Does he not make you think Lee Johnson a wee bit, that actually? I don't know if it's just the accent, but
aye, he's just a slaver. He said after it on the radio, he says it's easy with hindsight. You know about us attacking down the flanks. Like it's mental. Like if you can't manage a game in real time, you shouldn't be a manager. Like it blew my mind. Anyway, Ian, we're going to bring you in. What are your talking points from it?
Well, I'll let your son Josh. I'm actually okay with the derbies, but that becomes from being old. In the 70s, obviously we had a great team when I was a teenager, and although we didn't always win, Hearts were shite, and so it was no big deal to beat the Hearts. So therefore, funnily enough, the derby in Sydney was really a bit of a non-event for me after the massive achievement of beating Celtic. And obviously the excitement of the United game. So I expected us to win on Sunday. I mean, but it looked like it was going to be another St Johnstone, Ross County, Ayr United game where we create loads of chances and didn't take any of them. You know, and I really couldn't see how we were going to score to win the game. If Jack Airedale hadn't done it, I didn't think anybody else would have. It was funny though, Craig Gordon, I really rate Craig Gordon, I always have, apart from being an arsehole, but in my view, I think Craig Gordon would have been disappointed not to make saves there. And I actually think we're perhaps seeing the beginning of the end for Craig Gordon. But I think by his own high standards, his reaction to put his hand up for the Boyle shot, I think was slow. Especially when you see it from behind, but it was slow. And even although the commentators described Jack Airedale's shot as unstoppable, I've seen Craig Gordon save these before, and it wasn't the top corner; it ended up being bottom corner. So, but it was great to see, as Mikey said, it was great to see Shankland screwing up for Jack's goal. As Mikey said, because of his daft booking for kicking the ball away. I mean, that was utterly stupid. It was great to see him get booked there. And we didn't realise how important that would be later. But also Mariah Welsh and Nectar stopping Hearts. They stopped the Hearts playing. I mean, as Mikey said there, they were double teaming Triantis, but equally Triantis' job was stopping Shankland as well. So I mean, they cancelled each other out. But Hearts run out of steam in the second half. They'd been obviously pressing like mad, but they ran out of steam. But our real, unlike Mikey, I feel Smith was actually responsible for the goal and for the goal against Celtic. I mean, he's got to come out for these. And it was exactly the same scenario where Rocky just didn't know if he was coming or not. But I mean, I'm obviously delighted that we won, but the real achievement over the past few weeks has been obviously beating Celtic, but it's been limiting the likes of Shankland, limiting the impact that Shankland, Callum McGregor, Sam Dalby, and I would add Olasanya to that, because Olasanya has been a real danger to most of the teams in the league. And the fact that we've actually managed to keep them quiet and not let them dominate the game. And just on it's funny because on derbies, I I don't hate Hearts. I don't hate Hearts because I'm from.
Right, that's enough for Ian there, right, Carl? Bring
No, but I mean, I don't hate the Hearts because everybody. I mean, everybody's got mates. Have got Hearts mates and all that sort of stuff. And I missed the '80s when we were shite, and because I was playing rugby, and so I missed all this vitriol as they all appeared. And now I'd much rather Hearts won something than Rangers or Celtic. I'd much rather they did that. But it's funny because the Celtic supporters, even though they were, getting beaten in Europe, getting knocked out of Europe, the Celtic supporters are still fascinated with the Rangers and how shite they are. Whereas if Celtic just concentrated on something other than just how to beat Rangers, then I think Celtic could be a much better team in Europe. And I think Hibs, we just can't judge ourselves by how we're doing against Hearts. We just can't. We've got to aim a lot higher than that. I've always felt that Rangers and Celtic they spend all their time hating each other, and I think we've just got to not judge ourselves with Hearts. We've got to beat Kilmarnock. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, we definitely are much higher than Hearts this season. That's just facts, isn't it? Like we're seven clear of them. One of the things I wanted to come back to was your point there about stopping McGregor and Alessandra and Dalby and Shanklin. I was listening to the BBC podcast on the way home from work on Tuesday, and they were talking about the derby. And I think it was a Rangers fan that was on. I can't remember the guy's name, and he was saying what David Gray has done well is figure out how to stop teams, but at the same time figure out how to also hurt them, which you tend not to find with Scottish managers in Scotland, is that they do one or the other. They're either able to score against teams but not defend against them. But Gray seems to have figured both out. How do you agree with that? And if you do, how do you think Gray's managing it?
I hadn't heard that. I think this is perhaps, but now that you bring that up, I think this is perhaps why we look like we're not going to score until the last minute against United. Because against Ayr United, it was the same. We were cancelling each other out. So it's actually very difficult to do both. I remember coaching in a game that we were winning 3-1, and I told our players they had to carry on attacking so that the other side didn't get any momentum up. And I think maybe that's what David focuses on, not allowing any team to build up momentum. And but yeah, because we've got dangerous players. We've got a couple of dangerous players. Obviously, Martin Boyle can just turn up at any time. So I think he could well be right. I didn't hear that, but that's fascinating. The fact that it's one or the other normally, but we've managed to do both.
The other thing that they talked about was his use of substitutes. Now you'd mentioned and have mentioned like several times in the phone about David Gray sort of learning on the job, and us seeing a manager who has been learning his trade and improving week to week. Gray definitely got some criticism for his subs earlier in the season, but the last couple of games he's got them spot on, hasn't he?
He has, and I was one of his biggest critics. And against, I think it was against United or against Celtic. I think it must have been United because I was at the far end. I think he left the subs too late. I just think he left them too. I thought, my God, they're going to score any minute. I really felt that. I felt we had to make a change. We had to get fresh legs on. So I still think he leaves it late. But yeah, I agree with you. The substitutions have been great. And I'd like to see him a wee bit earlier because I always look at players like Josh Campbell and I think he's almost collapsing. We need fresh legs on. But I agree with you. His subs have, to use that great American term, have been impactful.
The finishers. Right, Callum, I'm going to come to you in a wee second. I'm just going to get a couple of comments off of the YouTube. So Kenny says, evening everyone, happy Hibee Derby. Ian says, hi everyone, up the Jambos, right up them. Sandy said, evening to all, what a great game coming up. Been smiling all week. Steve said, evening all, still living the dream, can we honestly win at Celtic Park? He says, a Long Bangers podcast for 3 years ago appeared in my recommended, Matty, when Lewis Stevenson was on. You and John looked 20 years younger on it. I'm trying to think how many years younger we would actually have been, maybe about 2 or 3. If you've not seen it, it's a cracking interview. My favourite bit about it is everyone knows how nice a guy Lewis Stevenson is. There's twice in it, I think, where he drops a C-bomb in it. but you just never get for footballers, really. And Lewis does it. The most memorable thing for that interview that sticks in my mind is my laptop battery died. It just crashed, like it hadn't been plugged in properly. And so I'm scrambling about thinking, oh no, the whole recording's fucked. And Josh and John were carrying it on, like they were holding the fort because the conversation continued, but it wasn't recording. And when I joined, it was just at the right arse end of what really happened with Neil Lennon and Canberra that night at HTC. And I never got the story. So Josh and John know what happened and were sworn to secrecy, and I don't know what happened. But I fucking devastated that I missed it because I bet it was a cracker. Um, anyway, it's still on our YouTube, so you can go and pick up. It's well worth watching. Also, interviews with Martin Boyle, Joe Newell, Matty Jack, Davy Farrell's on there. Christian Deutsch was a good interview. There's loads on there. Go and have a wee look at the channel if you've not seen them already. Ronnie said, "Hi guys." Stevie again says just about Ian. Oh, he's talking to Ian on the chat. No voice for a few days. I've posted a version of Sunshine on Leith for the game on his channel if you want to check that out. What else we got? Ronnie said, nice surprise for Hibs. The free season ticket prices are renewed today. I think seat release date of 31st of March must get extended. Though. I thought that was a bit tight, like releasing the season tickets and only giving folk even a full month to reserve their seats. But we'll come on to that. Anyway, Callum, talk to me about the derby.
Can I just say, for avoidance of any doubt, I hate the maroon bastards. That feeling is not mutual in any way.
100% with you. I can't stand the fuckers.
What I wanted to kind of talk about was the start we made in the first half and the kind of the mistakes that we're creeping back in and the kind of sclav clearances and stuff like that. See, normally, even going back to the beginning of this season or last season, we would have capitulated. And I just think there's a remarkable difference in how we handled that. Getting to half time, bit of quality for the goal. But then to get that together at half time, there was no panicking. I think what David Gray said after the game, like I think he was saying, like trying to make like a couple of World Cup passes, try to zip them out to the touchline and things like that, just to calm it down and play our game. And it just showed you, like Mikey mentioned, that they changed to try and combat us, whereas we just stuck to our game, stuck to our principles, and dominated that second half. Didn't make a lot of clear-cut chances, but dominated enough and obviously scored that screamer to win it. So I just think it's a huge kind of, it's just to recognise the difference in the mentality and the mindset of the players. It's huge, and that's what it takes in a derby. It was the same with the first derby of the season, the 1-1 draw, where we were by no means dominant. They had more of the ball, but again, there was no kind of panic, and there was a kind of settled kind of feeling around the side. And I think we're at that point now where the players knew they'd win that game on Sunday. I believe. I just think it was always there. They got carried away with the excitement of it, I think, but I just think it's a huge marker of where we are at the moment. And it's just a great feeling to have because we've not had it for a long time.
There is a school of thought that the players were too up for it in that first half. Cam, you think there's a merit in that argument?
Aye, I think so, and I think that's why, because there was a pass where I think Trantis tried to almost lean on his side and zip out to the right back, and he just kind of sliced it into the path of one of the Hearts players and stuff. So it was probably just that, and obviously the atmosphere was outstanding, like when the build up to the game and stuff as well. So I think they can be excused because we're at a point now where, as I say, we'd have capitulated maybe 6 months ago, but we're nowhere near that team anymore.
I think there was a point where the fans were starting to get a wee bit nervous as well. I think particularly when Rocky was getting the ball at the back and was a wee bit slow in it.
The one where he hit it off his ankle and you're like, oh, here we go. One of these mistakes is going to come in. Aye.
But they stuck with the team, and certainly the second half, like it was really comfortable. Did you feel comfortable at the time, Callum, or is it a case of like me, retrospectively, when I go back and watch the game, I was like, we were never in any bother at all that second half, but all the way through it, I think I was nervous.
I'm always nervous. I'm that way where, like, see the morning a derby and I fling something in the bin and I miss, and oh fuck, that means they're going to fucking win the day. Like my head's fried. It's honestly fried with it. I will never ever ever be confident going to that. The only one I could ever say I had any confidence in was what's become the natural order derby. There was something about that his interview before, like the days before the game. It just it riled us up the right way, the fans and the players. And it was only 2-0 last night, but at that time it could have been 5 or 6 easily. So no, I'm always nervous throughout the 90 minutes because like their goal was a kind of marker of that, because it just came like we lost the ball in the midfield, and then the ball got lofted in, and Iredale, Bushiri, or the goalie could have dealt with that. And then when it was kind of half dealt with, they get the goal for it. And that seems to be how they fucking score against us. It's always comes for our errors. So now, looking back, you can think, oh, we were in control. And obviously, the second half, we really, I think they had a couple of corners, and that was about it. So, no, it wasn't until maybe even an hour after the game you think, oh, phew, that's over now.
I was speaking to somebody through the week, and they were talking about comparisons with David Gray's team and Jack Ross's team that finished third. But the big difference between the two of them is Gray's got some statement victories. So beat Hearts twice, beat Celtic 3-3 with Rangers, beat Aberdeen twice, won up at Tannadice, and like an important game. What does that say about David Gray, Cal?
I just think it shows a lot's been made of his demeanour and stuff in interviews where I think maybe you guys mentioned it on one of the podcasts about if you looked at an interview at the beginning of the season and looked at an interview after Sunday, you wouldn't have known what game that was from. He's just so consistent. The message is the same. I think we're in that point now where the dressing room kind of manages itself. He doesn't have to get involved, and although they're kind of repeating the same message, I don't think the players are getting kind of overloaded with information. The expectations are very, very clear. There was a huge criticism with Jack Ross's teams of we just didn't win the big games. And you look at the performances against St Johnstone, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that. But I just think the players know exactly what to expect. They know what to expect for the manager. They know what to expect for each other. There's been a lot made about, I think it was when the Caddens were interviewed in that Open Goal podcast, they said about the likes of Dwight Gale and Junior Hoylett setting the standards and speaking about they played at the very highest level. So yeah, I think that's the difference. Is just that it is so consistent, and maybe that Jack Ross team where I'm just trying to think like before he came in, with the highs of Neil Lennon and then the big drop off after that. So Gray's been around the place for 4 years now. I appreciate there is a lot of new players, but I just think there's a real kind of, I don't know, almost like workmanlike approach for the training centre, and it's transferring into the park, and we're seeing that like towards the end, Chrissy Cadden celebrating winning throw-ins when it hit off that donkey's back and that, like it's there for all to see. I'm blabbering now. I'm just honestly just buzzing that see that last week and getting the 3 wins on the spin, like the last minute goals up at Dundee United and that, like long may it continue.
Aye, you kind of we're almost in a position. I know you want to write a game off. I'm almost no bothered what happens on Sunday. Like, you've got a ticket to go through, and you can. The probability is our run's going to come to an end on Sunday, right? That's the most likely outcome. It's no set in stone though, and we showed last week that we can upset the odds. But if it does, I didn't think it's going to derail us like it did Aberdeen when Celtic pumped them. I fancy this team to just kind of. I almost use it as like an opportunity to say, right, we can stop worrying about that run now. Let's start another one. I kind of get the sense that the team's got a bit more about it than Aberdeen did.
You look at, even, I appreciate it's not the same level, but Falkirk last season went undefeated in the league, but they were out of every cup competition early. It didn't affect the league for them. I think the Aberdeen one, they got beat 6-0 with Celtic, but then they beat Dundee. It was actually St. They drew with they got beat with St Mirren and drew with us. So that possibly derailed them. But I think you can take this game in isolation on Sunday, absolutely. My fear is that we beat them in the cup when we got to the final, and then they beat us 6-0 in the very next game. That's in the. I think even like Riordan got sent off for half in McNamara. That's how long ago it was, but I think it can be taken in isolation, and I'm sure that'll be the message to the players, because the games after that it's like Kilmarnock, Dundee, and St Johnstone or something. So
they're very winnable games after it.
It's not even about cementing top six. It's about cementing fucking third place. We've got a real chance to do that, or have a bit of daylight between us and Aberdeen and Dundee United when the split actually comes round.
It's absolutely mental to be in that position, considering where we came from. Just before I move on to Joe, you mentioned Junior Hoylett and Dwight Gale. They both played their part on Sunday. What would you say about their performance when they came on?
Very much the same as against Dundee United. They come on the park, and it's almost like they spread a calmness around the place. Junior Hoylett will take the ball every time. I actually thought we've had a favour with VAR the past couple of weeks when Dwight Gale scored that offside goal. If you look, Josh Campbell might not have kicked that. It might have been the Hearts player, but they didn't seem to spend too much time looking at that. But no, I think when they come on the partner, there's you don't get this, fucking bring on a 36-year-old, whatever. It's like, you know what you're going to get. They know they're going to talk to players. They're going to take the ball in tight areas, and that's exactly what the two of them did. It's a great tool to have, and I appreciate they might not be here for long, but I think they're happy with the role. They do get the odd start, but I think even after the celebrations, Dundee United showed that this full team's together. Even as David Gray mentioned, even the guys that were unused subs and stuff. Like Rudy Milotnikov was there. Joe Newell was in the park on Sunday. It's a proper, not just the first 11 or the subs. It's a full squad that's involved in this.
Aye, it's spot on. Joe, you said you were feeling dynamic. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I just think it's great to have this long run, and I'll quickly say that even if we get beat by Celtic in the Cup, we're still on the verge of our longest league run for many, many years. I understand that we're currently on equaling the run we had in 1949, which is the year I was born, as the oldest long banger here. But we've got a chance of even beating that league run that we had all those years ago. But the Celtic game's a one-off game. Okay, it's at Parkhead, but Hibs have stood up to a lot of attrition and still come through in the last 3 months. So I'm quite confident that we could have a good showing at Parkhead at the very least, and you just never know on the day. I'd like to see Ellie come back into the team though, because we just need that extra wee bit of magic, in my view. The team is very solid, steadfast, but we just need that wee bit extra magic. And I still think we're not sharp enough in the front two yet. Our vice captain Martin Boyle sort of blows hot and cold, or seems to have done. He's had a few sort of quiet spells in the last few games. And as regards Bowie, he's still not back to full fitness, because we're not getting a game out of him. We're still only getting 60 minutes. So I'd like to see Ellie come back in, because you don't know what way he's going at times. He doesn't know what way he's going to go. But it's a great time to be a Hibee, that's for sure.
You'd be looking forward to the Bowie Yuan front pairing. Do you think we might see that on Sunday?
Well, I don't know if Ellie's fit enough to start, but I'd like to see it maybe in the second half. But I think that could be really exciting.
And you'll have seen, no offence, but you mentioned being the oldest long bang. You'll have seen plenty of derbies over the years. Where does the atmosphere at full time rank?
Oh, I've never been at a derby that's had a better atmosphere at full time. I'm in the West Stand, in the lower West Stand, and the whole place was just electric, as everyone will know that was there. It was just a marvellous, marvellous feeling. But a word of caution: 3 of our next 4 games are away from home. We've got Celtic away in the Cup, obviously, Killie away, and unless I'm mistaken, we've got Rangers away in the league, and our resurgent Rangers, who won 3-1 away tonight in the European thing. So I'm not being doom or gloom, but we've got a tough month ahead to keep the vibe going.
This is true. We did have a tough week, though.
A marvellous week.
It's almost like, even now, I think, see if you put that week in front of us again coming up, if we were going into it now and you went, right, you've got Celtic Sunday, Dundee United midweek, and Hearts at the after that, how many points are you coming away from it? I don't know if any of us would still be saying 9 out of 9.
I remember saying, I think it was a Thursday before last, if we came away with 7 points out of the 3 games, I would have been delighted. To come out 9 out of 9, fantastic. Really is. Fantastic.
Who would you have put down as man of the match on Sunday?
Difficult to say, because I think it was an overall team performance. I mean, apart from scoring...
Warren Shanklin!
I agree with that one too. Apart from scoring the winning goal, I thought our left back was probably our best player.
And have you seen many better derby winners than that one?
Well, I'm old enough to have been at the 7-0 game in 1973, but it was a good feeling, no question. It was one of the best derby wins ever.
Oh, it's been in the goal, the winner for it. So Ardale's goal. Have you seen many more better?
No, and I I was in a perfect position in the lower west stand, towards the way end. I had a perfect angle to see it. Oh, it was a goal all the way. It was terrific. Really was wonderful.
Well, what about Boyle's goal? I think everybody kind of skips past Boyle's goal, but that was a great finish as well, wasn't it?
It was a great finish, but the goalie should have saved it. Let's be honest.
Do you think he should have come out for it? Like, he's watched that come for an hour and a half. I can't believe that Gordon was still standing on his goal line when the ball got to where it got to.
Yeah, but even still, from that angle, he still should have saved it, I think, Matty. But listen, we're not complaining, are we? It was still a well-taken goal, whatever way you look at it. Yeah, two well-taken goals, but especially, the second one, it was a cracker.
Aye. Okay, Andrew on YouTube said this is some team building week on week. Now we're getting our fair share of luck to go with a good play. 4 wins, avoid defeat to Sheep and United, and third should be ours. We did the extra time trying to predict. We used a spreadsheet and everything, trying to predict how the season would pan out, and we had us finishing third, but we are also idiots, so who knows
Can
what
we just
will happen.
say you used the spreadsheet badly?
No, we can't say that. That's subjective. We'll stick to facts if that's all right. It wasn't my finest spreadsheet moment. If it involved a pivot table, if I had a bit of time to muck about with it, it would have been all right. But we were flying by the seat of our pants.
It was great listening, Matty. Can I just say?
Cheers, Jeff. Right, Stephen, talk to me about the derby. Let's get back on track.
There's a joke about excelling in spreadsheets there, but I'm not going to go into that. Yeah, it was. We had I think I might have said last week, I had inadvertently booked a family event, hoping that the game would be on the Saturday, and of course that ended up being on the Sunday. So I made a complete dog's arse of it. So I didn't manage to get there in person. Also, our little one goes down for a nap between 11:30 and 2:00. So I had to basically cheer and celebrate without making any noise, which was actually quite impressive, to be honest. I looked like a mute weirdo celebrating, so that was an odd one for my wife to see. But probably a tale of two halves, Matty, for me. First half, I thought we were very, very nervy, very, very just looked very, very nervous and poor. And I think Hearts dominated the ball in terms of having, the lion's share of it. But again, going backwards and sideways, a bit like the derby in October and then on Boxing Day, they never look like they're going to do anything productive when they have the ball. I didn't like how much of the ball we gave Beningame. He almost had a free roll, and I think he is probably by some distance their best player. He's very, very tidy on the ball. But again, he struggles to sometimes get his head up to find that forward pass. Well, when he did, he freed up Cabango, who finished it quite well, but fortunately was offside. But second half, I don't know what Davey said to them at half time, beyond maybe just believe in yourself, or it will start to turn, or just, they'll tire, they'll maybe think it's going perfectly, and they'll stay with the status quo, which is exactly what they did. But second half, we came out, it was like a firework up their arse. They were fantastic in the second half. So impressive. Played with a real tempo, really got right in their face, made it horrible for them, stopped them playing. And really, we were the only team, I think, throughout the entire game that really looked like scoring a game with the previous two derbies earlier in the season. Cadden had the flash shot across the box in the first half, which I think he should get on target. I don't think he should try and make it a cross-come shot. Josh Campbell's had that brilliant chance with the header. I don't quite think he knows where he is in the pitch, in all honesty. And they had nothing, I think. What was it? They didn't have a shot on target after their goal, which again came from an absolute horror show at the back. So they created absolutely nothing with maybe 55-60% possession, which is, I don't want, as I said this earlier in the season, I don't want to see them coming to the road and having most of the ball. But you know what? See if it plays into our hands for us to counter and quickly get forward. Give them the ball, because they showed they were absolutely useless with it. And I would just, to the point earlier about them, whilst I do hate them, I probably, more than hate them, I just find them weird. It's like, I seen a stat on Twitter, it was like the guy had rolled out a stat since November 2011, and I'm thinking, what relevance is 2011? And that was also when you had that team that, 106% of turnover was going in wages. It was a team you couldn't afford. They're just odd. They're just very, very, they've got wee knob syndrome is probably the best way to describe it. They're just a very, very odd set of people. Weird looking, weird smelling, and just odd, to be quite honest. It's that's problematic, Matty. Just fantastic. A brilliant goal to win it. And the fact that Shanklin gets beaten in a foot race to the ball by our centre-back in their final third, which is absolutely hilarious, just makes it even sweeter. It really does.
Tremendous. I like the fact that this is maybe one of the things that when we talk about our Derby experience, their Derby experience is quite a lot of spawniness in the later stages of games. So that away end was still fucking packed right to the end. They had to watch it all because they thought that they might sneak something.
Aye.
No luck.
Aye. And I think as well, I've not, don't know if this is true, I hope to Christ it is, but that story that the beanbag they had at Tynecastle, somebody had lost the remote control and they had to, it was stuck in full volume, Sunshine of Leith and the Hearts Hospitality at Tynecastle. That's just, that honestly, that is someone that's never injected heroin. That's probably the closest I've get. It's absolutely brilliant reading stuff like that. So funny.
Do you think there's been a shift in how the club handle the derby in recent years, Stephen?
It's a strange one because I think they look at it as the blueprint when you sign for Hearts as manager or player is you must beat Hibs. To hell with how you do it, how you play football, where we sometimes even finish in the league. I'm more of I'd rather us to be the derby will take care of itself, focus on the other 10 teams in the league because that's, your 3 or 4 wins against Hearts, if you get them, that's not going to get you third. It's beating other teams in the league. Whilst obviously it's great beating them, they put everything on it, which is probably why they come out with all these stupid stats since, September 2009. Hibs have had 4 less corners than us, all that sort of shite. But I think if we just keep it as, it's another game, try and settle the players down a little bit. Because I think if you look at the performance in the first half, I think Callum touched on it, you can definitely be too up for things. You really, really can. You can start, you can put your foot in a bit too quickly. Adrenaline runs a bit wild. But if we just start treating it as another game, I think we'll probably be able to handle them a little bit better. Because I remember even if you think back a couple of years ago under Trigger One and Sean Maloney, remember we got tanked at Tynecastle the previous Saturday, absolutely woeful. Then the following weekend at Hampden against them in the semi-final, they were 2-0 up. That was only 2 shots on target that day as well, the brilliant free kick and the brilliant goal from that Ellis Sims. The rest of the game, Hibs absolutely battered them. Absolutely. Gordon, when he was in his 30s, did that wonder save on Porteous' header. So I think there was clearly a mindset shift from the previous Saturday where we just looked at it as a one-off game, and we were a lot better the following week, and we somehow didn't win that semi-final. Still don't know how 2-3 years later, to be honest.
It was many, but consider we had 10 men as well because you got sent off and we were still the better team after we went down to 10. They carry some amount of fucking luck in that fixture, I tell you. And again, the scenes at the end, you would have kind of caught it on TV, seen it. That's caused a little bit of upset for the celebration police across the city. That's quite pleasing as well, isn't it?
Aye, I mean, what was it we got? We got chastised for celebrating a draw when Boyle came back a couple of years ago. So, ergo, if you win, surely you can go a bit mental. But, yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them, right in the ear. Jeff, what was your derby day like?
Fantastic. Couldn't go on any better. Drove up with Mini-Me, got behind the goals, parked at the hotel down Leith. Behind the goals, met Pete from our chat group. First half was scrappy, as everyone said on here. We just couldn't get our foot on the ball through, and any sort of half chances or the goal we scored was through our errors. It was not through any good play from them at all. The only good play they did was Beningme's ball to the guy up front when he was offside. That was a nice ball. But yeah, second half. It's funny when you're there because it's Hearts. You just think it's always at the back of your mind. It's like scar tissue in golf. This hole last week, I hooked it in the water, therefore I'm going to push it way right. It's just like they're going to do something daft, although they've not been in it. Not a save to make. I liked it when Jordan Smith dived over that ball that went past the post near the end. It made me laugh. So yeah, just nobody's mentioned Boyle's chance that he missed on the one that came across
the
me.
Volley.
Back across the goal. Gee, that was... Yeah, I thought he might have done better with that. Great ball from Mariah Welsh for that one.
I think that's the bit that gets missed is how good a pass it was. I think it's a hard chance to take because it's a volley. They're not always easy. Always got to cut across it, but the pass from Mariah Welsh is absolutely perfect, isn't it?
Oh, I just chipped it in, and there was a player offside who left it, which was good. And then Boyle came on, and we were in the east. We were kind of right behind it when he hit it. Thinking, oh, this is getting ready, arms up, arms down. But my son made an interesting point. He says he can't enjoy the derby. He enjoyed the end, but we were singing and dancing. But during the game, he said, I just can't enjoy it because he's just waiting for them to score a Swanee goal, and he's only in his 30s still. He's not had the proper trauma that we've had through the Miller years. Although he was at the Gordon Hunter derby at Tynecastle, so he was present for that one. Yeah, so good. Yeah, I just thought it was. I listened to the Terrace podcast, just the first bit, and Joel Sked made a point that it seemed to the second half that Grant was pushed inside a lot more, which gave us space down our left-hand side. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, if he did, then what's Critchley doing? Like you said, with hindsight, everybody could see. I mean, Chrissy Cadden on the other side was also getting a lot of room. So it's like, what? Anyway, but apart from that, it was good. So my message to, I'm sure Joe will stick with me, is enjoy weeks like this. Really enjoy. Don't think anything negative. We're taking 7,000 to Parkhead on Sunday. Anything can happen, and I mean, it's likely we'll get beat because that's Celtic are at home and the millions they've spent on players, but. Have we got inside their heads after the last game? Are they might try too hard just to try and prove a point like we did on Sunday. You never know. You just don't know. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Jamie Ken, who's on VAR? Can we nobble them? Can we start? Have a whip round and bribe them and see what handles they can give us?
Yeah, I mean, I listened to the explanations about why the penalty wasn't looked at or wasn't given, and they said Nicky Carron had a wee hold of his shirt, but he had a hold of his shirt, but he wasn't pulling him down.
Nah.
It was just like steady, and then he clipped his heel. That to me is a clear penalty. It's soft, but it's a penalty. That's straightforward.
It's like when they give a penalty for when they're grappling at a corner.
Yeah.
And both players are at it, and then just they decide to penalise one of them. So I had a question on the tip of my tongue, but you threw me with the penalty chat.
Yeah, but I mean, my week started at. Against Celtic, I had my brother there. Dundee United, I had you next to me. And against the Hearts, I had my brother. And on Sunday, I'm sitting on my own. My brother and my son didn't know they could go, so they've got the second tranche of tickets. They're away from me. So, we'll see what happens with me being on my own. Is it a good sign? Is it a bad sign?
You can make friends easy enough.
Okay.
Stephen, you got your hand up?
Just take him in Jeff's points about the penalty. I cannot believe that that's not a penalty. If they've said that he's pulling his shirt, he's actually pulling the guy forward, so he's actually bringing him closer. So I don't know how that's given any sort of advantage to Cadden in the movement. It's a bizarre one. I can't help but think after that absolute rocket Goodwin and his continual pish in the media since the game last Wednesday. They've looked at that and thought, well, you know what, actually, we've maybe given Hibs a wee bit of rub of the green here, so we're not going to give them this one. That is a penalty every day of the week in every league in the world. He's clipped his foot, causing Cadden to trip. And then this pish that there's a foul beforehand, there is no way that shirt was given as a foul anywhere else in the pitch, regardless of the box or not. So it was an absolutely abysmal decision, in my opinion.
Really and the other thing is, Stevie, that Cadden was about to launch the ball. Why would he go down?
Yeah,
he was through, and he was, lining up his howitzer left foot to take it past static Craig Gordon.
Yeah. Chris, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I think it's just on that point, and the penalty, and the whole who's got a hold of who. If you actually watch it back, just before Cadden takes a grip of Taylor's jersey, Taylor, his jersey, he gets pushed in the back. There's a clear push in the back, which then leads Cadden to grab his jumper, top, and then he's clipped over. The whole, he's got a hold of him nonsense is just an easy excuse not to give us the penalty. Ultimately, probably because what's leading up or what's led up to it in the previous week, where we have this media frenzy, or previous 2 weeks, where we have this media frenzy about Hibs seem to get every decision under the sun with VAR, literally just because we get a goal against Celtic, which, by the way, it was, let's not kid on, or Celtic's goal was disallowed, sorry, was out of play. Just because they don't think it's definitive, it was out of play. It's the media driven thing and the unconscious bias then with the referees and the VAR officials. Ultimately, that's what happens, and no doubt we'll probably hear something about it in the lead up to Sunday.
I think we definitely will. It's Matt Larkin had banged on about this for ages. And it's not just in football, but it's like fucking life in general. Just gaslighting happens all the time. Where folk will just parrot a version of events until folks stop challenging it. They kind of go, "Right, fine, that's what happened." So now we're at a point where Goodwin's saying that they scored a perfectly good goal, and you're like, well, it's demonstrable that the boy handled it. Like, you can see it. You'd have to be fucking denying the evidence in front of your face to still think that he's not handled the ball for it to go in. But they just let it go unchallenged. Like, we was talking about it on the radio, we scored a perfectly good goal, and they go, "Aye, all right, Jim, back to the studio," and it just gets left. And you think, I mean, I get it from the journalist point of view. They're not going to go, "Ah, you're talking shite, Jim." Like, okay, that should have been disallowed, and then him storm off. Like, I kind of get why they didn't do it, but somebody should be sort of putting a bit of balance onto that, I think, because what happens is exactly as you say, Chris, is when something's a bit kind of 50-50, they'll not give it in their favour because it's in the back of their minds. What do you think of the derby overall, Chris?
I think, to be honest, it was comfortable as could be. In all honesty, I go into these games, I'm probably an emotional mess for about 3 days leading up to it. Like, I'm just all over the place. Like, in the morning, I'm probably up for 5 in the morning, pacing the hall, and then the Proclaimers and that gets banged on, and that's me kind of getting into it. And do you know what?
Chelsea, you've already done your 500 miles walking up and down the hall.
Pretty much. And do you know what? I got to take a few pints, got to the game, and I just felt like we were never ever going to lose that game. Like, I just felt looking at them, Hearts, I just think they're bang average. I think we've got something about us. I think we've got a manager that knows what the derby's about. And I think it's very, very clear that Critchley doesn't have an absolute clue about the derby. And for the first time in a long time, that's been something that Hearts have not had. Even in the Romanoff era, I kind of feel that even these foreign coaches came in, they knew, because there was players like Presley, etc., they knew about winning the derby. Whereas this time, I don't think Critchley really cares. I think his post-match comments kind of suggest that it was just another game. And so I just felt we were comfortable. I just felt like we were never, ever losing that game. And I think the second half, I just never felt in any worry, any danger. And I think credit goes to Gray for part of that as well, though. Because, again, there's been a lot of talk about Gray and coaching and the players that he's using. We've had to make a couple of changes recently, and every player has come in and done the same job with the player they've replaced. And I think that comes as credit to Gray and what they're doing, obviously, in the training ground. And it just kind of reminded me a wee bit of the Zombies under Gerrard, where if they replaced a player, they'd done exactly the same job to the same standard. And we're kind of getting that at the minute, so we're in a very, very good place.
There's a brilliant article for Liam Bryce in the Observer about the change in Hibs under David Gray and the culture that is driving. You definitely see it, Chris. Like that team spirit, the team have the now and the connection with the fans. It's probably not been like that since Lennon. The good spell under Lennon.
No, absolutely. I think you can see. I think within the squad, you can see they're really, really, really together. Like, you can see it. Like, and I think people obviously and I know it was mentioned in Open Goal about with the Caddens about Bashiri, how he's really driving that sort of team spirit thing. Mm-hmm. He's one of the he's obviously seen as a leader within the dressing room, kind of thing, and he's a bit of an enforcer. So I think that's a massive, massive thing for us, and that's why we're on this run ultimately, because everybody is now battling for one another. They're flying into tackles, they're running that extra yard, they're making sure the passes are there, they're covering for their mates. And then when the mistakes are made, you can see them just like geeing their mate up and getting them going again. So ultimately, we're in a really, really good place. On a separate point, and on the derby also, by the way, I just want to say kudos to whoever was doing the music at the end of the game, that they left off Sunshine and Leaf for a good couple, like maybe a minute, just to allow us to sing Hearts Are Falling Apart again, which was delightful as they were scurrying out.
I thought Barry, it'll be Barry that the nailed the music after it. They waited just the perfect time for Sunshine. You can see that togetherness we're talking about, Chris, with David Gray sort of shouting for Eddie May to come out onto the pitch and everything. They definitely make sure everybody's involved, and you can see what it meant to the players when all, even when they kind of broke up and they all went running to the fans to have a good jump about. What's the ceiling for the club this season? Will we finish third?
I'm convinced we're finishing third. Like, I think that game, if we were going to lose a game, like if we were going to lose any game to stop this run in the league, it was going to be that one. For me, I just think we'd go like, I'm off our steamrolling everybody now. That like I'm in that mindset that we're just doing it, and I'm going into Sunday with absolute belief that we can get a result there. Ultimately, somebody's got to beat them. So why will it not be us? So I'm on cloud nine. That's it. We are third place, Europe. Get the passports out.
We have that added benefit, like if Celtic go and win the cup, like if they do knock us out and go and win the cup, it's good for whoever gets the European place in the league because they get the group stage one, so we can pretend it was deliberate if we get knocked out as well, like it was a tactical defeat. So no harm there. Joe, go ahead.
Just quickly, even if we get beat by Celtic at Parkhead, I think the most important thing is keeping this unbeaten league run, because it could go back to the Second World War days, the number of games it is. You know, Kilmarnock, to me, beating Kilmarnock is almost more important than beating Celtic, because we'll surely beat St Johnstone at home. And then I think somebody can do the statistics, but I think that's probably going to be our longest league run unbeaten since the Second World War.
It's mental, isn't it?
It is.
Shay, been waiting patiently, and John, I will come to you in just a minute. I'll get Shay first. How was your derby experience, mate?
Really good. It was my birthday the day before, so I think I could have asked for a better birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
To be really honest. Thanks, man. But I was really good. The whole build-up, I was like, all week I was sort of like nervous. So, like, I think the form goes out the window a wee bit when it comes to the derbies. Like, Hibs could have been like 34 or 38 games of the season and lose 4, and there'd be Hearts. That's my sort of thing.
Aye.
But when I woke up on Sunday morning, I said to my mum, we're going to scud these cunts. I'm thinking how we're going to get it, but we're going to scud them. But I was really good. I thought we played first sort of 10 minutes until they scored in the second half. I thought we played really well. I think Hearts also afforded us far too much space out wide, especially on the left, our left. So we didn't want to get near Nicky Cadden whatsoever, but that's also the worst thing we do, I think. Purely because of how good his crossing is and his pace.
There was the boy on the BBC podcast said that he thought Nicky Cadden was the best crosser of the ball in the league. Would you agree with that?
I think it's a good shout. I can't really think of anybody better than him, to be fairly honest, at the minute.
And
no,
how,
I think he's
how important do you think he's been to our turn of form?
I think he's been very. He's not the only one, I think, but he's one of them that's like he's very noticeable every week. That he's like giving like a 7 or 8 out of 10 almost every week. Like, and especially when there's one, he's just like, I've always got a gut feeling he'll pull something out the back, either as a goal himself or like an assist, or like creating that chance, like an assist to an assist sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just like, he's one of them. He's just sort of one of the heartbeats of the team.
And the squad, this was one of the other things I noticed on Sundays. We've got Joe Newell close to coming back. Ellie Yuan on the bench. Obviously, Newell had that other wee setback. We've got Mane still to come into the team properly. The bench looked quite strong on Sunday, but the starting 11 looked pretty strong as well. But even you got players like Mariah Welsh, who's not really featured that much this season, come in and slotted right into that sort of starting position. That's going to be a good thing for the run into the season end, Shay, you think?
I think so. I think, like you said, everybody's starting to come back with fitness, like even like Big Ek coming back, and Joe Real hopefully for Kelly. I think it's really good. I think the whole team's got the belief in each other as well to like push on, even after the start, like the rough start we had. I think just every week, like we're starting to sort of take every week as it is and just believe in each other. And like whoever, I think it was Steven that said, or Chris that said we're fighting for each other. So when on that open goal when Rocky said to Nicky Cadden after he broke his nose, who was it? So he could
Aye.
go smacking the back of him. So it's stuff like that that I enjoy is like you're there for each other. It's like, and it's all for the same sort of purpose. And I love it at the minute. It's a good vibe at the club.
Aye, superb, eh? Where do you think we'll finish?
I want to be optimistic and say third as well. I'll like fourth at the very worst, but I want to be optimistic and say we'll finish third place. We've got no reason not to. At the minute, okay, look at the teams that we've beat or got a point against. Like we've beat like Aberdeen twice, Hearts twice, Celtic, draw against Rangers that I thought we should have won.
Mm.
So there's no reason we can't go and beat Celtic next week. Then Kelly, then the Zombies are through it. Ibrox. So no reason to take 6 points in a trip to Hampden.
It's mental, eh? Like, would you have imagined this at the start of the season, or a few weeks in? Would you think we would sit and talk
Absolutely
about
not. Like even after like the two Dundee United games, they were so close together. I was like, nah, we'll be lucky if we finish top six. We'll stop. But now it's like there's no like. I'm just it's leaves me speechless like where we've came from the last sort of like 4 months. Like it's kind of scary how well we've been, how good we've been. But then it's like then looking out forward now, like looking forward, so just we could be like generally one of the best teams in the league.
Aye, it's scary, eh? John, bring you in now.
Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I think first 15, 20 minutes of our defence on Sunday took me back about 3 months, if I'm really, really honest about it. Look, you hear the phrase playing the occasion rather than playing the game, and I think that's what got to a few of them. I think the run, the importance, so it's people trying really, really hard, but we did look really vulnerable.
Mhm.
I mean, just by somebody lobbing the ball about. They got through it though. I mean, what didn't we do in the first half? Sitting in the East, I think Nicky Carrick could have had the deck chair out. I mean, he was in space, all on his own, just never passed it. Great ball down the line by Iredale that ultimately goes to Boyle for the goal. Good crosses in from the left-hand side when Nicky Carrick got there. But the number of times that Hearts were sitting in a 4-3-3 really narrow, I mean, within the width of the penalty area and sometimes even further to their left or right, we just didn't do that. Second half, the ball was going from both sides.
Mhm.
Look at the goal. The ball is actually with. It's taken by Lev. Is it Mariah Welsh because puts out to Chris Cadden. It comes back in, goes to Triantis, who then lobs it out. Nicky Cadden puts a brilliant ball in. That I wasn't sure who made the front post run, who nearly gets to it and it gets headed out. I mean, and we get Iredale's goal from that. We were playing better football. We were moving the ball across the pitch. And my son had said to me, he says, Hearts die at 60 minutes. They don't, they just can't play beyond 60 minutes. And then I would congratulate them for finding another version of Lee Johnson. I mean, he doesn't win the games that he needs to win. I mean, he's going to be, he might, I think they're worried that he's only got, is it 3 points against Hibs, Aberdeen, Rangers, and Celtic? I mean, he's winning games. So what we were up against, but that first 15, 20 minutes, that's the reason we have to have a bit of caution going forward.
Mm.
I mean, that's what the training this week will have been, is to get that out of their system. I mean, bring that calmness on Sunday and see where it goes. And we can't bring that to the rest of the season.
How do you coach that out with players, John? Like, what would you say to them to?
That's a sitting around a coffee table. I mean, that's I don't think that the goalie was close enough to come out for the ball.
Hmm.
I don't think that the goalie knew what the centre half was going to do, and I don't think the centre half knew what the goalie was going to do. I mean, and
Hmm.
that's not on the training field. That's a sit down and talk about it. Who's going to take decisions when Iredale hits it with his wrong foot and comes down with snow on it, but almost no distance up the pitch. Rocky claffs at it. Know what I mean, with his wrong foot.
Hmm.
The goalie comes out for that and Rocky heads it. Rocky could be scoring one of the softest own goals ever. Know what I mean, that was the problem there. There was just so little communication. Know what I mean, in that part of the pitch, and it was everybody was in their own wee bubble because they were in under pressure because of the fixture of the game and how important it was to them. Once we relaxed out of that, and once we started being a team, know what I mean, and once the heads lifted and there was a calmness, we moved it around. Um, I didn't really see them come. I mean, second half started, didn't see anything from them at all. Didn't feel comfortable
Hmm.
because I mean we've seen toe pokes for centre halves for nearly the halfway line. I mean, it's you understand that football can be a funny game, but did they provide anything? No, and we took control and we did what we were good at. And can I just credit Craig from 9125 Analysis for when he was doing his pick for the Observer that he chose to stop the clock at 73:07 with a score at 1-1. So it actually reads 1-1 73:07.
That's tremendous, isn't it?
Now, I'm going to say that he meant it
Aye,
because
definitely taking that as deliberate.
that's Iredale's shot going past Craig Gordon. And that's what he
Look,
used for the analysis.
if you look close enough, you can actually see the wee thought bubble for Craig Gordon's head there going, ah, fuck. It's good. It's good. A moment perfectly captured.
Absolutely. So credit to Craig for that.
Can't see if
Top
Shankland's in the
goalie.
picture. I suppose I'll get conscious of the time, so we'll come on to get score predictions in a wee minute. But there has been a lot made of the summer being the big change for Hibs, like the big rebuild. It feels like sort of this is bad news now rather than good news, John. What do you think is going to happen in the summer?
David Gray, I think, was asked that today because I think Brian McLaughlin was doing his normal shit story that Hibs are in a good place. So I'll ask you some shitey questions about what the players think and how your squad's going to get broken up. Um, I'm reasonably relaxed in the sense that I think we'll bring in a goalie. Smith has done really well. I think he's a number two who's stepped up to do a number one's job. Um, I think a more dominant goalie will come in and he'll be the number two that we will all have complete confidence in sitting on the bench, and the youngsters will be able to be farmed out to get their experience. Instinctively, I think Rocky will move on. I mean, I think he's at a stage of his career, he's probably going to get offered slightly more money elsewhere. That gives us the opportunity to bring in somebody else.
Yeah.
I think the decisions will be on the right-hand side where Chris Cadden and Miller, but if there's an extension on Miller, you take it. We're already in a bit of business in the middle of the park. We've got loan players that are going to go. Kwon, we won't miss. I mean, it's just not worked out.
No.
Harovic hasn't really worked out. You don't expect to see Gale and Hoylett back next season. I mean, so there's spaces there for them to do it. It's probably not the dream scenario, but it's a much better scenario than they had 3 months ago. So the complete everybody out and rebuild has gone, and it's now about bringing in the right players. It can all go wrong, but yeah, let's live in the moment. I mean, as Joe says, first best run since '49, probably the best week out with cup wins that the club has had in living memory. I mean, I did a bit of a sad thing going through iHib stuff on football stats. We've had 3 wins in a week. I mean, Kilmarnock, Airdrie, and something else. I mean, there's no Celtic away to Dundee United who are sitting in fourth at the time and home to Hearts.
Mm.
That doesn't exist. I mean, a New Year's derby or a win at Falkirk a day later, beating Hearts, and then a draw with Kilmarnock is the closest you get.
What the hell, eh?
I mean, but that again, famous five weren't playing 3 games a week unless they were. It was the European run. By that point, they were on the dip. I mean, the Tornadoes had some brilliant European results that were sandwiched with some really, really poor domestic results. So yeah, those 3 games in isolation is peak. I mean, just live with it.
What a great point. Jeff, you get a hand up?
Just quickly, talking about weeks, Joe might correct me here. Did we not beat Ayr United 8-something, then Hearts 7-something, and then East Fife 1-0? That was just about a week around the 73 time. Or was my memory just absolutely
That's correct. That's correct. Ayr United was just before Christmas, I think. I think it was because I was there. I was there for the 7-0 game. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for the 7-0 game, but it was just some week. But the 1-0 against East Fife was a bit of a downer because John Brownlee broke his leg. Absolutely smashed it. But anyway, that was just a wee point. Sorry.
That's all right. Right. Score predictions for Sunday. We kind of overrun a wee bit, so I'm sorry for keeping these all back. Right, Jeff, since you've got the mic, what's the score going to be on Sunday?
3-0 Hibs.
That's right. Joe?
2-1 Celtic, but I'm more keen that we beat Kilmarnock the following week and keep the league run going.
Callum?
I predicted Celtic to beat us by the odd goal last time when we won, so I'll say Celtic by the odd goal again. Reverse psychology.
I like the thinking. Stephen?
I'll have what Jeff's having, to be honest. I'll say a draw in 90 and then a draw in extra time and Hibs and penalties to keep the unbeaten going.
Steve, I'm channeling my inner Ibrox, Sproul, O'Connor, and that New Zealand.
Jeff, funny you mention that, actually. This has got a lot of parallels, so I'm making it run over even further, but this has got an awful lot of parallels with that. It really, really has.
Joe, were you putting your hand up there? Or were you just stretching? No, just stretching. Shay, what's the score going to be?
I'm going to be really confident and say 4-0
Hibs. Hey, John?
3-2 Hibs, but 7,000 Hibees will be singing all the way.
Aye, definitely will be bouncing. Chris?
3-1 Hibs.
Yeah, and Ian?
I said we beat Celtic before the last game, and we're definitely capable of beating them again. I've not got a clue. I've honestly not got a clue. So I'm going on the basis that Ross Caldwell, his last minute goal in 2013, I think Ross Caldwell will come on and score again.
What?
No, I mean, no. What I'm saying is, when we were all talking about what's the best derby goal you've seen, Ross Caldwell's 2-1. But as Colin would say, is a good cover, you know.
Aye. Okay, right. That's us. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks very much for joining us on the phone, and it's always been brilliant having you on. And thanks to everybody who commented on YouTube. Not had time to get through everybody, but well, keep them coming anyway. Right, we'll see you all next time.